Hello, and welcome to the SC4x live event 2. My name is David Correll. I'm your course lead. You've received a number of emails from me, and I'm excited to be in this live event with you all today. Those of you that are joining, please take a second right now to note that we have polls open on the right side of your screen on Slido. And the first one asks, how many hours per week do you spend on the course? So please keep those votes coming in. I'll ask you a couple more questions over the course of this live event. So welcome. My ambitions for today, I don't think will take a long time, but I think we can do some interesting things relevant to our course. So my agenda looks like this. Of course, you can ask questions at any time, and I encourage you to submit your questions through Slido, event code SC4x. But what I'd like to talk about, my planned remarks relate to your midterm exam, which will be coming up after this preparation week, and the round 2 results from the Fresh Connection game. So we'll spend some time on both of those. I think I know some of the questions that might be on your mind about the upcoming midterm exam, and we'll talk a little more about the Fresh Connection. I'm just going to take a second now to look at the results. And I asked, how many hours per week do you spend on SC4x? And wow, the winning vote is 10 or more hours. So thank you for all the time that you give to our program and to our course. We really appreciate it. We work very hard to make those hours that you spend with us worth it. So thank you. I was just talking with many of our hardworking CTAs who contribute so much to the learning environment here. And we're starting to think more and more about how we can make all of those hours that you give to us the most valuable to you, including what I would call the marginal hour, the live event, that hour that's maybe outside of your normal time budget for the course. So let us know here in the forums. You can always email me at SC4xhelp. Let us know, what do you get out of live events? How can we make them the best possible for you? So wow, 15 votes, 40% of you are spending 10 or more hours per week. Thank you so much for all that time. It looks like 6, 7 hours is popular. I've heard that from a lot of students. We've got a few people around 4 hours. You must be speed readers. I'm very impressed. Thank you. I'm going to change the poll and ask you to just let me know what your favorite part is. This is an open text response, so you can type in anything that you like and let us know what's been valuable to you in the program. While you're answering that, I want to talk about some of the administrative issues or questions that might come up with your upcoming midterm exam. So here's sort of the lay of the land for that exam. You'll be solving 4 problems, and those problems have multiple parts. So you've seen this kind of thing before. It's a timed exam. You'll have 4 hours to complete it from the time you open it up to the end. You can do it in less. We write them so that they should not take all of that time, but you do have that time. And I've noticed that many learners like to go through and then check their answers. So you have 4 hours. You are not being proctored. You can do whatever you want with that time, but that's how long you have to complete it. The exam covers all of the material in weeks 1 through 4, but not the supplemental MicroMasters material. So when you're thinking about studying for this exam, I would encourage you to go back, look at your graded assignments, look at your practice problems, look at your quick questions. The questions on the exam will very closely resemble what you've done in that previous work. We write them that way so that you can be well prepared if you spend the time. And it looks like a lot of you are willing to spend a lot of time to get ready. So when you're thinking about the exam, you can rewatch the videos, you can look at the graded assignments, you can redo the practice problems, you can think about the quick questions, maybe review those. I think that's the kind of thing that will set you up for success. Don't worry about anything that's in supplemental MicroMasters material. We have some interesting things there, but those things will not be on the exam. You will need your database software for this exam. So you will need MySQL or SAS, whichever you are using to complete the assignments, and you will need Orange. So if you've made it this far, I think probably you have those installed and you're comfortable with them, but be sure on the computer with which you choose to take the exam, you have that software ready and installed before you start. Probably goes without saying, but I just want to make sure it's clear. Have that software ready and installed before you start. Now I want to get to what might feel different and frankly, I'm aware might be disappointing to you about your exam experience coming up. Remember, it's not this week, it starts next week. You will not receive feedback on your answers during the exam. This may be different from what some of you have experienced in previous courses. You will not receive the green check feedback if your answer is right or wrong during the exam. Why are we doing that? Well, as the MicroMasters grows, we have many people completing the exams, and we're very lucky to be sending them out into the world with a credential that has value to employers, values to other universities that are accepting our completion of our program as prerequisite to their academic programs. This success means that we need very thorough assessment, and assessment that people can count on. So we've decided to divide the components of our education up. Some of them are purely educational, like the videos and the practice problems, and some of them are pure assessment. It's just a way for us to know, to test, can you do something that other people cannot do? And if you can do it, we can give you that certificate that says we believe you can do it, and hopefully that will open doors for the rest of your career, both professionally and academically. So for this reason, the exams are pure assessments. We will not be letting you know the correct answers. We will not be emailing you the correct answers to the problems. We are reserving these exams, the midterm and the final, as pure assessment tools, not using them as teaching tools. I know that's frustrating because some of you very serious students like to go through and see where you made mistakes in exams and learn from that. We apologize that we cannot offer that as part of the learning experience at this time. We hope that the answers that you can get on the other parts of the course can help fulfill that for you. The other reason that we're doing this is that you all are now in SC4x. So SC4x is the last course before the comprehensive final exam, which you take before earning your MicroMasters credential. The CFX works the same way. When you answer the questions, you don't know if you got it right or not. So although I know this is a little frustrating for some of you, keep in mind that it's great preparation for the CFX. So when you think about the exam, think about, I'm not going to get the check to know if I got it right or not. I'll just know if it's submitted. Why are they doing this? Because they need to ensure that this assessment is rigorous so that when you pass and you carry the certification out into the world, it continues to mean something all over the world and forever. And we're doing it so that when you take that CFX, you already know how it goes. You're comfortable with that kind of testing environment. So I know I've harped on it, but I wanted to make sure it's clear. Learners have been confused about this in other courses. This is something that's been implemented recently. Your exam experience will be a little different in that way. Okay, many of you said what has been your favorite part of SC4X, and let's take a look. I love it. SQL. I agree. I think it is very valuable. It's a way to get beyond Excel and to get into working with larger data sets, cleaning larger data sets. I am very excited that you guys like it too. Let's see what else. Orange. Orange is a great tool. It's so interesting, right? It allows us to learn about different machine learning models and then play with them interactively and work on real data sets. So I'm so glad that you guys like it, and I'm very glad that the people, I believe it was in Slovenia, made it. The real world interaction, me too. That's one of my favorite parts. In week 5, I'm taking you on a field trip to Anheuser-Busch InBev to see how machine learning is applied to logistical problems at their company. Take a look and let me know what you think. I'm making 2 more field trips for you coming up. I really hope you like them. Machine learning, absolutely, very hot topic. SQL fundamentals. Learning SQL opened my world. I am honored to be a part of opening your world. I'm so glad. Crisp DM. Honestly, that was me. I just wanted to make sure the system worked. So I'm so glad that SQL and machine learning have been valuable to you. Very valuable tools, very modern and relevant skills going forward in the future. And thinking just a little more specifically, After the midterm, we get into the second half of this course where we look at real-world systems for operating supply chains. And I invite you to think about the data sets that would come from these systems, like warehouse management systems, transportation management systems, ERP systems. And now that you know SQL, now that you know machine learning, how might you apply some of these new data skills to the data sets that supply chain software can create? Okay, let's move on to the second thing that I wanted to talk about, and then we'll get to your questions. I see you're submitting them, so thank you very much. Fresh Connection round 2. I hope it went well for you. The poll now asks you to describe your Fresh Connection strategy. How did you try to win? I'll be very curious to know. Remember, the Fresh Connection, it's just a game. It's a way to understand supply chain trade-offs, to understand how decisions you make in one part of the supply chain, in one part of the operational environment, impact other parts, and it's a really cool tool for that. So I'm excited that you're playing. The first thing I wanted to do is I prepared some figures here just to look at the winning team for the round and how they are performing compared to their peers. So team 516 with an ROI of 7.01%, great job. You have some close competitors too. Team 2614 and Team 625, all doing excellent. So the first thing I wanted to look at here is just return on investment. So Team 516 is the blue line, and that gray cone is sort of the rest or the average response, the range of normal responses amongst other players in this round. So you can see in round 1, they had a great return on investment, and they brought it up even higher in round 2. Now look at total costs. Look at how far they are below that gray norm of the other teams. They're doing great. But what really struck me here is if we look at how their total costs go down, then look at their penalties. Their penalties are at the bottom of the normal cone there too. To me, that's really interesting, right? So penalties are when you're not performing to expectation with your customers. They are incurring less penalties and they're doing it at a lower cost than other teams. Great. Let's look at the scatter plot up in the top right, and here we can see inventory, finished goods inventory on hand, and service level. The green star is Team 516. Look at what they're doing. Excuse me. They are achieving a high service level. Look at where they are compared to their peers, with relatively low, compared to many of their peers, inventory on hand. That is supply chain excellence. Great job, Team 516. The bottom right chart there, what was interesting to me was to look at between round 1 and round 2, the agreed shelf life percentage dropped. Excuse me. What's interesting about that is that they knew what their supply chain was capable of, and they adjusted to meet that. So they actually took their agreed shelf life percentage down just a little bit. The next thing I want to look at is the top and one of the bottom teams. Those of you that tuned into the last live event may have remembered that I created a team that I wanted to perform the worst possible that could be performed. And I haven't been able to do it. Some of you have been able to get worse performance than me, and congratulations, that's an impressive feat. But I thought if I created a team that made some of the wrong decisions and we contrasted that with the team that made the right decisions, it would help all of us learn from this game even more. So in this set of graphs, the green team is the winning team, and the blue line is Dave's very, very bad, rotten, no good team. So you can see where my return on investment falls to under negative 20% compared to the winning team that's up there around 7. You can see how I tried to reduce total costs. That was my mission going in. I just got all the lowest cost suppliers I could and got everything at the cheapest price I could. Somehow the winning team beat me there too. Look underneath at penalties over the rounds. So you can see how my penalties are really quite high and increasing, whereas the winning teams was able to decrease. Shelf life I didn't touch, All I did was try to get cheap supplies, and you can see how the winning team really thought about the shelf life, the agreed shelf life percentage. Remember, this is a perishable product, and tailored their promises to their customers to what their supply chain was set up to deliver. Where I did especially poorly was in component availability. So you can see here where I'm dropping in round 1 and round 2 to very low, just over 90%, whereas the winning team is at basically 100%. So that means that my suppliers, with whom I contracted for very low prices, and I only shopped the lowest quality, lowest price suppliers, didn't deliver, and I did not have the availability of the inputs I needed to make my product, whereas the winning team secured the inputs they need. Moving over to that top far right scatter plot, the blue is Dave's very bad, no good, rotten team, and the green is the winning team. So you can see here how the green team is getting a higher service level with a relatively low finished good inventory. I have roughly similar finished good inventory and a far lower service level. I am not competing with this team. And you can see here in production plan adherence where some of that comes together. Because I don't have components, I'm not able to meet the service level that I promised with my customers, so I'm paying penalties, and my production plan is not coming together at all. So I'm close to almost 60% of the time, only 60% of the time am I meeting my production plan goals, whereas the winning team is following their plan closer to 90% of the time. So I hope this helped you think about the trade-offs by contrasting excellence with failure in the Fresh Connection. The Fresh Connection is a really interesting game and a really interesting learning tool, and it really allows you to think about lots of little decisions in connection with one another in ways that wouldn't be interesting or wouldn't sink in if we just put them on a PowerPoint slide, or if we just sort of talked about them verbally. It's a really neat way for you to explore how your relationship with your suppliers impacts your ability to serve your customers in this case. And that's only the tip of it. There's quite a bit going on. And so I hope you're playing and having fun and learning from it. So I wanted to take a look at your Fresh Connection strategies. Thank you to those of you who have written in. You said high quality raw materials, supplier reliability, and a good service level. That is a good strategy. I bet you beat my team's performance. One of you wrote reducing penalties, increasing bonuses by securing reliable suppliers. Yes, learn from Dave's mistakes. That's really good. And I hope that that's paying off for you. Minimize components and finished goods stocks. Yes, and we see that with the winning team. They're able to get that higher service level with that lower inventory. I think you're shooting for exactly the right things. We have 2 more rounds to play. Those of you that are tuning in and maybe this looks like fun and you haven't played yet, that's fine. You can jump in any round. Just look at the key course states section to know when the next round opens. They stay open for a week, so you have to get in there and play. And let us know what's going on with the Fresh Connection for you. Are you enjoying the game? Are you understanding it? I know that it can be a lot of information to take in quickly. So let us know how you're doing with it. Let's see. I see another new strategy here. Low inventory, high quality suppliers, high service levels. Good on you. That is a good strategy. Much better than my low inventory, low quality, low service strategy. I don't know why that didn't win. Someone asked, why are the rounds not open all the time? That's a fair question. Essentially, the Fresh Connection is not run and owned by MIT. It's owned by another company that developed the game and takes it all over the world as part of supply chain teaching. And so they open up server space for us to play, and then they run all of the results and give us that data so that we can present you the analysis of how the round went. So I know it's kind of tricky to fit that into your schedules, but really it just has to do with the way the game is set up by the people we work with to provide it. Fair question. Right now I'm going to look at some of the other questions that you all asked. Wow, so Kavita says, thank you for the wonderful course. Being a beginner to SQL, this is a wonderful opening. Lots of learning, taking bit by bit. Thank you, Kavita. I'm so honored to be part of helping you learn. There's a big team here. I'm just the one here at the live event. Dr. Casa recorded those wonderful lectures. Many people working on this. I agree. I think learning SQL is just a feather in your hat, and it's a way that we can interact with larger and larger data sets more efficiently, and that's going to be part of many of our jobs going forward. So thank you. Sumant Singh says that they missed the first live event and cannot find it on the MIT channel. Oh, you ask a very good question. So for the first live event, we had technical issues with our MIT YouTube account, and we released it, I believe, from another account. So I will work with the team here to help you find it, or you can email us at sc4xhelp@mit.edu, and we can for sure get you the link. But you asked the right question. It did not come out on the CTL YouTube channel, so it's hard to find later. People who were tuned in through Slido could still see it, but the archive is not in the same place. Good question, and please stay in touch, and we'll make sure you can find it. Kavita says, sometimes we are not able to do it in the week. Is it going to be able to go back to get a hang even if not participating? So I think I understand the question. And as I understand it, as it relates to the fresh connection and the weekly rounds, the question is, if I didn't get to it this week, is there a way that I could go back and do the previous round, maybe when it's open? So unfortunately, there's not a way for us to do that. But if you miss a week, all of your settings just stay the same, and the game plays another week. So in that case, if you have everything set up, you have certain suppliers selected, you have all of your decisions made with your customers and your internal operations, and you don't touch the game for that round, everything stays the same. So in that sense, you don't really need to go back. Sorry, just approving a couple more questions. Keep sending questions if you have them. You don't really need to go back. You will just start the next round with the settings the same as the last time you played, which can be a winning strategy. I know I played once where I did really well in the first round and then just didn't touch anything, right? Because it just carries those decisions over. Now, keep in mind where you can suffer there is that you could run into trouble in the next week that you were not prepared for. So a supplier could be less reliable in a round and you didn't change them, or a contract could come up and you don't have suppliers. If a supplier drops out and you haven't visited it, you could go around without suppliers in the event that something happens. So I guess sort of that was a long-winded way of saying you don't have to touch everything, and if the world stays as normal, no problem. If something happens in the game, in the simulated world of the game, and you don't respond to it, then you could suffer. Unfortunately, we cannot send you back to a previous round. Good question. Kavita asks another question. Thank you so much. I would like to know about the proctored exam in the later week. Will we have to take it somewhere external? Excellent question. You will have to take it somewhere where you have very good internet connection, and you cannot take it on your phone. So you don't really have to go anywhere prescribed by us, but you'll need to find a place that you can get to at that time that has very good, stable Wi-Fi connection, and you have access to a computer, like a laptop computer with the ability to record you. That's part of the proctoring. What else? You'll see in the proctoring rules, you need it to be a quiet place where people aren't interrupting you or talking to you. We'll give you all of these rules beforehand, but you don't need to go somewhere specific unless your home environment has poor Wi-Fi, has plenty of distractions going on, something like that. But keep these questions coming, because as we get closer to it, we'll give you more and more details. Suresh asks, are you planning to cover more examples using machine learning? Also planning to cover some more machine learning algorithms? The short answer right now, Suresh, is no, but it's a good question, and we've taken your note. and you're not the only person to think this, that it would be great if we had more. So right now, you'll go into the midterm, and the midterm will cover your SQL and your Orange, so your databases and your machine learning. You'll come back from the midterm, and we'll start looking at real supply chain management systems. We'll look at the software systems that businesses use to manage some of these functions, but we will not be teaching new algorithms. So thank you for your question, and it is a good one. It's a good note. I see, and I'm sorry I missed it earlier. Anna asks, sometimes the scatter plot doesn't work in orange warning sign. Do you suggest using another widget instead of scatter plot? Gosh, I haven't had this problem myself, so let's take this to the forums and see. I know there was some traffic in the forums about the Titanic data set from the recitation causing this problem. So I'm going to have to say we'll follow up on that. I haven't had that particular problem in Orange, and I've been working with some different data sets outside of the course and not had it, but that doesn't mean it's not a real issue. So I don't have a great answer, Anna. I'm sorry. Suresh asks, it would be interesting to know which algorithms are used most of the time in industry for what types of use cases. Yes, excellent question. So we're going to try to put some more in the supplemental materials as far as reading the most recent articles on this topic. This week, we have a field trip where I take you to a company to see how they're using sort of an advanced clustering algorithm on their logistical routes. So I 100% agree that we want to know how these things are applied in practice. And I think right now, everyone's trying to figure that out. So there's different press reports you can read. There's different consulting reports. We'll try to make those available to you as we can, but it's also an evolving field, so I think different fields use different algorithms for different applications, which is probably obvious. But we'll try to highlight the ones that we think are the most interesting and the most teachable, and invite you to bring it to the forums. If you see an article that highlights some sort of algorithm that you think is really interesting that we don't teach, like support vector machines, say, hey, this is being used here in the supply chain context, let us know. We'd love to share it. Anya asks, do we need to update Orange to the latest version for the midterm exam? No, I think as long as you have an Orange that is functioning with the graded assignments, you should be okay. So if you have something long before you started this course, I might be afraid that it's older, but you should be okay with the Orange that you have. We will put in the instructions what I believe the lowest version is, but I think you should be okay, especially if you downloaded it for the course. Wow, believe it or not, team, I think we got through all of your questions. Thank you for all of them. Thank you all so much for attending this SC4x live event. Thank you for taking our course and being part of the MicroMasters team. Please stay in touch with us in the forums, through emails. We love to hear from you. We will have one more live event towards the end of the course as we get ready for the final. Course-wise, enjoy your week. Go on the field trip with me whenever you can and watch that video. It was a lot of fun to make. I'm making some more for you coming up. Get ready for your midterm. You'll get emails from me with more details about it. And good luck on the midterm. I'm excited to have you all as MicroMaster students. Thank you.